Folks, I hope you have some juice because the Just Baseball show, as always, is brought to us by the fine folks at BetMGM. And we have to talk about 18 innings worth of baseball. Jack McMullen, Aram Leighton. If you're up with us live at 8:30, number one, thank you. If you're with us at 1:30 with our fine friends at SportsGrid, we thank you as well. The first question that I want to start with, because we went live during innings 16 through 18 on Twitter and YouTube yesterday from the Just Baseball account. And there was a point where my brain stopped computing and I couldn't formulate coherent thoughts. So I just said, I have to tap out here. You guys can just go. I need to put my phone away, need to get off a hot microphone, and then just sit there in silence and watch the remainder of this game. So that's how I did the last, I think, inning and a half. But before that, I was making a coffee using the coffee machine while the game was going on. There were very few times in my life where I feel like I was operating in that much delirium. But I was operating in delirium last night. When did the delirium kick in for you?
I mean, it was funny because I was upset a little bit that I was going to miss a good portion of the game because my flight back in was delayed, and I don't think I
It
got
wasn't
back.
delayed, right? You were fine. You just ran into customs issues.
Well, we were on the tarmac for like an hour plus, and then I ran into customs issues for a good bit where they've got a lot of rooms back there to just keep taking you through. All because I guess I booked my ticket last minute, never doing that again internationally. I had to cancel it and then rebook. And I guess it like set off some alarms. So They put me through every single like stop, checked all of our bags. I'm like, okay. So they had it on in the little back room there. So I was able to watch for a little bit, but then I was so upset because I'm like, okay, I'm going to get there in the fifth inning. I'm barely going to see this game. It's moving so fast. And turns out I got 13 plus innings of baseball. So it worked out. I would have never thought that. And there became a lot more strategic components, I think, that we wouldn't have expected. I think that both teams didn't expect, and that's why both teams ran out of everything. I mean, I think you do no matter what in the 18th inning, but there's some stuff that I'm excited to talk about in terms of how it was managed and stuff like that as well. But the delirium probably kicked in for me, I'd say around the 14th, where it went from this is the best game ever to how is this going to end? And it just kept going, but it was a lot of fun. It still is one of the best games ever. But the ending maybe, was dragged out. It's like one of those movies that was just fantastic. Just the ending dragged out a little bit, but it ended up being worth it at the end.
And the question is the best movie ever that probably runs 20 minutes too long still the best movie ever? I would think yes. Especially when you try and correlate that to a baseball game. Like, this is still probably the greatest game that we've had the pleasure of watching in our lifetime.
It's up there. It's up there without a doubt because it delivered everything, right?
Everything.
That was the big thing, is like you got a little bit of everything from the offensive side of things to the defensive side of things. So many incredible plays defensively. You got some great pitching. You got Clayton Kershaw coming in for a big out. Like, this wasn't some ceremonious, like, hey, let's get Kershaw in there one more time.
No, that was Kershaw needs it. Yeah.
We need it. Go get the lefty. He got the lefty. Like, you got a little bit of everything. And I think that's what made it so fun. And I think it's what made it such a unique game in general. And several like defensive plays that you don't even see that often, whether it was relays, unique relays, a very heads up play by Vladdy where everybody realizes, oh wait, this guy had a 70 grade arm as a prospect. Yeah, he does, just like his dad. So many amazing wrinkles within it that I think made it one of the more unique games and entertaining games that I've ever seen.
And to your point about the strategy, like, one team had Will Smith playing in the 18th and the other team was without Alejandro Kirk for an entire game, like for 9 innings here. So we're going to get into all of that in a moment. But before that, I'm going to give you our longest rundown in the history of game recaps. So the first tangible threat came in the top of the second when the sun was still out, when the Blue Jays had the first 3-man reach against Tyler Glasnow, but sprinkled in there was a gaff on the base paths with Bo Bichette, which we'll dive into deeper momentarily. Tyler Glasnow was able to escape the jam because of what we thought was ball 4 to Dalton Varsho, ended up being strike 2, and Bichette was caught in no man's land. Scoring opened a half inning later. Teoscar Hernandez blasted a no-doubt shot into the left field bullpen for a solo homer in the bottom of the second. Then Shohei Ohtani, you'll hear that name a lot in this one, drilled a ball into the right field bullpen to double the run total on Max Scherzer in the third. They were threatening to make it 3-0 in the third, but Freddie Freeman was gunned down by Addison Barger trying to score from second on a single to right with two men gone. That throw came in at 98.5 miles an hour, and that paid dividends. A half inning later, Blue Jays jumped on glass now with a walk, a reach on an error, and a 3-run home run from Alejandro Kirk, which was his fifth of the postseason. Addison Barger ripped one into right after that. Ernie Clement had a teardrop to put runners at the corners with one away. Jimenez plated Barger with a sac fly to make it 4-2 in the fourth. Kike Hernandez led off the fifth with a single, and after John Schneider lifted Scherzer for Mason Fluharty, Shohei Ohtani exercised the demons against low slot lefties, and he smoked an RBI double. Freddie Freeman proceeded to rip a 2-out RBI single to tie the game at 4 in the fifth. Saw the Dodger threat subsided in the sixth because of Vladdy gunning down Teoscar Hernandez, trying to go first to third on a ground ball into the hole at short, which Jimenez still threw to first base, and Vladdy's base running heroics on a Bichette single to right, paired with the Teoscar misfire, gave Toronto the lead a half inning later in the top of the seventh. But in the bottom of the seventh, Shohei Ohtani got a first pitch heater center cut from Sir Anthony Dominguez. After a mound visit, mind you, I have no idea what they said to him there. He didn't miss a stitch. 108 off the bat to left center field. It was his second solo homer of the night to tie the game at 5. It was his fourth hit, and he became the second player in World Series history with 4 extra base hits in a game. He joined Frank Isbell of the 1906 White Sox. By the way, Frank Isbell, who had 4 doubles in Game 5 in 1906, also threw 81 innings for the Chicago Cubs, so a two-way guy as well. So Ohtani and Frank Isbell, a lot of correlation there. Thing is, I think Frank Isbell in 81 innings in 1898 struck out 15 guys or 16 guys. In the top of the ninth, defensive magic from Tommy Edman. I thought this was the play of the game. He grabbed a deflected ball off a Freddie Freeman kind of booted grounder, and IKF tried going first to third. Edman pops up, and he fires a dart to third base to get IKF and stranded. Top of the 10th, Nathan Lucas was close to driving in the go-ahead run, but Davis Schneider was caught on the 9-4-2 relay. It was Hernandez to Edman to Smith, 2 perfect throws, and they got Schneider trying to score from first base. Dueling zeros in the 11th. Toronto loaded the bases for Nathan Lucas in the top of the 12th. Dave Roberts went to Clayton Kershaw for the first time in extra innings in his Hall of Fame career. That is the first time in this guy's first ballot Hall of Fame career that he throws a pitch after the ninth inning concludes, and he got a little dribbler, glove flip from Tommy Edman, threat averted. And then you get into this stalemate action from 13 through 18. Literally nothing was going on, and that is a testament to Eric Lauer. That's a testament to Edgardo Enriquez. That's a testament to Will freaking Klein, who bounced around, was DFA'd left and right, and all of a sudden, this guy fires 4 innings of one-hit shutout ball, doubles his previous innings high over the course of a single game in his major league career, and Freddie Freeman walks it off in the bottom of the 18th inning. By innings, it tied the longest World Series game we have ever seen. Freddie Freeman back-to-back years with a walk-off home run, and that is the entire rundown of this baseball game. And believe it or not, we have a minute left in segment 1 that took me 6 minutes.
Yeah.
This game had, to your point, absolutely everything. If you had to sum up this game in one sentence, go. We're going to have a lot more time again, but just one sentence.
I think it was organized chaos, and I think that was the best way possible, because I think the other sentence I already used, which would have been it gave you a little bit of everything, but it felt like organized chaos because so much was impressive, and there were so many just okay, these are 2 of the best teams that we've got right now moments, but then there were other moments where it's like, how can they not push one through here? What are they going to do on the manager side? Ooh, they might want that one back, and that's just because it was chaos, and you can't really blame them. It's easy to Monday morning quarterback it, but I am going to blame them a little bit on the next segment.
Okay, yeah, really good toss there. Again, it was a 6-5 win for the Dodgers in 18 over the Toronto Blue Jays. We'll get to Arm's gripe in a moment right here on the Just Baseball Show.
You just see Texas in any game, and again, Kentucky used to be able to put up points in the past. 43.5 is crazy because it just feels like Texas is going to come in, play really good defense, and try to squeeze this game out. It'll be interesting to see because nothing got ailed from that victory last week. Texas is back. I'm just being facetious at this point. But if we see one of those performances, 17-14 Texas.
In the fourth quarter.
Yeah, come on.
Right? I mean, really. I mean, they got a gift last week.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. It looks like the Bengals fantasy pieces are back. What did you make of that Joe Flacco performance on Thursday night? Turning back time.
Yeah, it was great for a guy like me with gray in the beard. I love seeing it. I love my representation. But at the end of the day, just from a wagering standpoint, if this continues, it'll give some consistency and it'll give some value back to those tools that you were mentioning on the Bengals.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Defense is above average this year, and I think big picture they're going to be probably the most consistent moving forward. The problem I have is this guy, Trevor Lawrence, big picture. You got to take the good, the bad, and the ugly. And the ugly sometimes is real ugly. He is not comfortable in the pocket on a consistent basis, and that's a problem.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Very young team outside of Durant. They're going to be an impossible out in a 7-game series, and I'm predicting it right now. If the seeding lines up, you are getting the Thunder and the Rockets in the Western Conference Finals. There's not another team in the West that's going to be as good as the Rockets are when we get to playoff time.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
We're talking about an 18-inning win for the Dodgers in World Series Game 3. Time to dunk on who you need to dunk on. Where did your issues lie in this baseball game?
I think a lot of John Schneider decisions. And you can Monday morning quarterback it, but there was a lot that in real time I wrote them down. So I'm like, okay, to make sure that I'm not Monday morning quarterbacking it too hard. I will say though, I saw a lot of people talking about the send of IKF, or IKF sending himself, whatever it was, from first to third on that ball that kicked away from Edman. I think if you freeze frame it from where IKF started at the time that the ball kicked away and where Tommy Edman was, the majority of the time that's going to go in the base runner's favor. It was a close play at third. It took a perfect play from Tommy Edman to slide into that throw to make a perfect throw when the tag goes down. That play, I don't think happens more than 5 out of 10 times. Maybe with Tommy Edman it does, and maybe that's the part that you'd be a little bit more hesitant. But with 1 out, I really didn't hate that move. If it was 2 out, something else, maybe a little bit different.
Sticking on that one real quick, with 1 out, you do that because all of a sudden you don't have a mulligan in terms of an out, but an out can effectively win you this baseball game. So you don't go with nobody out because you have too many opportunities, and you don't go with 2 men out because you have too few opportunities. Yep. It is a Goldilocks situation where he's only going if there's 1 out.
And a fly ball, is all you need at that point, or, a well-placed ground or whatever it may be.
Or a wild pitch. Yeah.
Or wild pitch. So that part, I didn't mind it. The send I couldn't stand was where you had Vladdy on deck. You have Davis Schneider pinch running here on a double with Schneider on first base. There's no way he was ever going to score on it. And there's freeze frames on social where the ball is in the catcher's glove and Davis Schneider is not even remotely in the picture here. And Davis Schneider could have one of the fastest sprint speeds in Major League Baseball, and I don't think he's beating that one out. So that was a weird send. That one, I get it. There were 2 outs, but that's not a gamble worth taking. You have Vladdy on deck, who they surely wouldn't have pitched to. Okay, great. Now you load the bases for a young Emmett Sheehan who has struggled. He ended up throwing well, but has struggled in a contact-oriented IKF. Well, at least it's going to put the pressure on him, right? Spoil a bunch of pitches. Maybe he walks him. Maybe one gets away. Whatever it may be. I like the chances of manufacturing a run there in one way or another more than hoping that Tommy Edman clanks a routine relay throw over to home, which he isn't going to do after you learn the hard way a little bit earlier. So that was a send I didn't really like. That's not Schneider. That's the third base coach. But I felt like there was a little bit of over managing at points, and I get you feel like you have to do that on the road and in a game that clearly was this organized chaos that you had. But I think this game doesn't go 18 innings, and we'll never know for sure if so many guys weren't pinch hit for in this Blue Jays lineup. Because you could say the same thing though and say, well, who would have thought this Dodgers team would put up so many zeros consecutively as well? But I do feel like if you still had Barger in there, if you still had Kirk in there, if you still had a few of your other guys in there, especially with Springer going down and knowing how much that thins your lineup, I don't think I'm prioritizing a marginal gain in sprint speed with Tyler Heineman and little things like that when you are risking, if this game continues on, having ABs where you're taking the bat out of Alejandro Kirk's hands, who's one of the best hitters in this series, who is homered in this game. It's the World Series. I'm keeping the bat in Kirk's hand. And I know Heineman ends up sliding into third, close play there, and that became interesting. That was almost one of the biggest base running blunders of all time. It was a 3-2 count on the Davis Schneider dribbler to third base, where genius play by Muncy to know I'm not going to make a throw to first. Let me stretch and field this ball. But that should have never even been remotely close. It could have been my out of shape, but going backpedal style to third base. And if I'm base running properly in terms of 3-2 count, you're on the run because it's 2 outs. Yes. You could have jogged first. Then he didn't slide to third. Then he didn't slide. That could have been all time bad by Heineman, who pinch ran for Kirk for the purpose of running. There's no other argument other than for the purpose of running. So you took away Kirk's defense, his ability to steal strikes, which was working late there. Will Smith stole a bunch. And on top of that, you take away his bat, and you ended up getting multiple ABs there. Between not having Barger in there and others, I thought that they kind of nerfed their own lineup. You never knew it was going to go 18, but you didn't know that you were going to end the game right there either when you did pinch run for these guys. And I think when you lose Springer, even more of a reason to not prioritize the short-term, speed gains or whatever it may be, when you know that if the game carries on, you have almost your B team in the offensive side of things.
The Springer injury is just flat out unfortunate. Like, there's no way to strategically avoid that. He swings and then he grips his side and then he's removed from the game. We're still waiting on official word as it pertains to George Springer, but it just did not seem good. And as soon as a hitter grabs their side like that, you just assume you shut it down for several weeks at least. So really hoping that it's not, a serious oblique issue for George Springer, but it did not look good. In terms of the Kirk thing, that was the one to me that jumped out and stood out like a sore thumb. You cannot finish that baseball game with Alejandro Kirk out of the lineup. And to your point, you enter the highest leverage moments of this game, and there were stacks of Tyler Heineman and Miles Straw. And I understand that Heineman and Straw have been good for you this regular season. But how many times have we had the conversation, the postseason is about people. October is about people. I did not think that in the 15th inning, I'd be watching Will Klein face Tyler Heineman and Miles Straw. I watched that matchup identical 3 times at least in the 2024 International League season. It was just not, that is not a matchup that either team was thinking they wanted to get into, but here we are. And listen, one of them was amazing, and Will Klein immediately became a postseason hero. But Heineman and Straw getting those ABs in place of Alejandro Kirk and Addison Barger is just a tough pill to swallow. We've got about 60 seconds in this segment right now, but that for me was the most egregious one.
And again, iconic performance by Will Klein. I 100% agree.
Amazing.
But when you get late in ball games like that and you run out of pitching, and the Blue Jays had the pitching advantage in terms of just having more guys left. I felt like that's where, you start to see the advantage because your top bats are now finally seeing some arms that you don't normally see in the World Series and in that kind of leverage. But you didn't really have that advantage because Will Klein was just blowing it by IKF and Miles Straw and whoever it may be. So it felt like you squander kind of that pitching edge. And Blue Jays arms did an incredible job of being able to match the heroes.
Yeah, 100%. Lauer was great. Hoffman was really good in the 9th and 10th as well. There was a lot to like from the Toronto side. There was something to like more than anything else in this game. It was history. And we're going to talk about that on the other side of the break. Again, Dodgers get the win 6-5 in 18 innings in Game 3 of the World Series. Back in a moment right here on the Just Baseball Show.
You see this team, and they're talking about A.J. Brown still. You know, it's an injury. We want him. Are we going to ship him? This situation has to play out in the sense of, I think he wants to be there, but at the end of the day, you can't disrupt the locker room every single week. And the Eagles need him to be there if they're going to make a Super Bowl run.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
The playoff matchups for Asher Genty are not great. We start to look ahead. I know it's early, but it's not that early. So Genty, I think, is still a better long-term guy than is maybe a redraft situation, especially with the schedule maps out. But I don't see a lot of games where he's potentially in a situation where the Raiders are ahead and running the football a ton, if you know what I mean. It's kind of tough out there for the Las Vegas Raiders.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Are they chanting? Is it over? Does he
They'll be
accept
gone
the
by
resignation?
halftime. No,
Are they chanting fire, Brian
probably.
Kelly?
Yeah,
Clap, clap,
it would
clap,
be
clap,
it
clap.
would be warranted. It would be. I mean, you won a national championship in 2019. You're getting top 5, top 10 recruiting classes each and every year. You had the quarterback back to back to back to back. How many more chances are you going to get? I mean, really, what are we doing here?
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Very young team outside of Durant. They're going to be an impossible out in a 7-game series, and I'm predicting it right now. If the seeding lines up, you are getting the Thunder and the Rockets in the Western Conference Finals. There's not another team in the West that's going to be as good as the Rockets are when we get to playoff time.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
We got to talk about Shohei Ohtani. Unbelievable that we made our way all the way to segment 3 and we haven't mentioned that Shohei Ohtani smashed an MLB World Series record by getting on base 9 times. That tied a major league record.
Yep.
Our Twitter team at justbb_media had an all-time night on Monday night into Tuesday morning. I can't even call it Monday night, but they were absolutely nailing it. Shohei Ohtani goes double, homer, double, homer, right? And then he goes 4 intentional walks and a walk. He goes, homer, double, double, homer, intentional walk, intentional walk, intentional walk, intentional walk, and a just unintentional but intentional walk. Of course, he tied a major league record by getting on base 9 times. He pitches tonight, by the way, folks. He throws in under 24 hours. His post-game conversation, I believe it was with Tom Verducci. Will Ireton said, I just want to get out of here as quickly as possible and go to bed so I can get ready for my start. This guy was stretching his calf in the 11th inning. I understand that it's kind of like a cheapy way to get to 9 times on base with the intentional walks, but that speaks to who he is, what he was doing that night. Like, that was the stuff of legends. And every single time you think this guy has checked every box on a baseball field, he finds a new box to create and check.
Yep. Yeah, and it's the first time he's ever walked 5 times. Interestingly enough, he's walked 4 times, 3 different occasions in his career. He earned the 5 walks with not only the 4 just scorched balls in that ball game, but also I think the homers that he's hit over the last week plus, and just the at-bats that he's had in general, whether it's the home run against the Jays, whether it's the 3 home runs against the Brewers. Like, there was just so many at-bats of late where it's just, okay, we're going to let somebody else beat us. But to that point, that's one other gripe I have. You have a mound visit with Ohtani coming up, and that ended up being why this game carried on. Maybe they score another run another way, but I don't think so, because they didn't score another run another way for 48 innings after this.
Yeah.
I understand that was definitely not the location intended for Sir Anthony Dominguez. But what did you talk about there with your guy who is stuff over command, knowing that he's probably not going to hit his spot, or at least is liable to not hit his spot at points with Ohtani up? I'm sure the conversation was like focus here, throw here, whatever it was to how you want to pitch to him. But whatever the conversation was, it should have included do whatever you can to not leave a fastball in the area where a guy this dialed can go kill it. And it didn't work. I don't know, whatever the conversation was, it didn't work. And whether it was very obvious and Sir Anthony Dominguez just completely botched that, I don't know. But if the conversation wasn't, I was looking at where the catcher was set up and everything like that, which was still Kirk. It looked like it was high fastball. There's always a chance that he tugs that down a little bit. Ohtani can still cover those pitches. So I don't really know what the conversation was. Whatever it was, it wasn't good enough. And know your personnel, right?
Hey, brother, here's what I'll say. I can respect and I can forgive a location gaffe, and Dominguez can just tap his chest and say, that's on me. I yanked one, whatever. That pitch selection, like righties shouldn't be throwing him fastballs in October.
No.
There's just no world that should be happening. Nobody should be throwing him fastballs, but particularly right-handed pitching
unless
should
it's
never
a
throw
show
this
me
guy
at the
fastballs.
chin. Like if it's a show me at the chin and you have confidence that you're not going to tug it down.
Even then, he can get to a pitch at his collarbone. So, like, you're right. It has to be above the collarbone. There was just no world that, like, a fastball first pitch made any sense in the world.
Especially with whatever you were planning, there's a remote possibility that you leave it over the middle. And I think that is why they lost the game. Like, the Dodgers didn't score for more than a game after
A game?
that.
Yeah.
Like, so that offense was not performing very well after that. The one other quick, right before we talk about Ohtani's greatness.
Yeah.
That call, the 3-2 count where Bo Bichette's jogging over to second base because it was such an egregious miss.
Yeah.
That really hurts. That's where the challenge system would have been most valuable. You talk about really important spots to deploy it. Not only is that a 3-2 count that would have resulted in, in a walk versus a strike, or 3-1 count that would have resulted in a walk versus a full count. It resulted in an out at first because he's jogging thinking it's ball 4. But shit, you can't do that either. You got to wait for the call. But it was so obviously a ball that I think you went into autopilot. That's where you challenge, and oh my gosh, that changes everything. Now you don't have that runner out at first, and it's actually first and second there with nobody out. So that one hurts as well. That was a big swing. But back to the Ohtani point, I think with the ability to follow up this game, and getting on base as much as anybody in the history of the sport, and then pitch within 18 hours or whatever it may be, and I assume he's going to throw well. This has the opportunity to just further the legacy in a way that you just didn't even think was fathomable. It was like, how else can he possibly further this just legacy in general? And he's going to find a new way to do it here, potentially, with getting the ball after playing 800 innings and getting on base as much as anybody in baseball history.
We've got 5 guys. I have 5 names that I want to throw you that I feel like have not changed the narrative around them, but expanded the narrative around them in this World Series. And they are becoming all-time performers. That's in a moment right here on the Just Baseball Show.
Very young team outside of Durant. They're going to be an impossible out in a 7-game series. And I'm predicting it right now. If the seeding lines up, you are getting the Thunder and the Rockets in the Western Conference Finals. There's not another team in the West that's going to be as good as the Rockets are when we get to playoff time.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
I don't want people to stop discounting how good of a coach Rick Carlisle is, and I think they're going to find a way to get it done. I think they're going to be better than people think, and I also think if that's the case, then I'm fading someone in that division. You know who I'm fading, and that's the Milwaukee Bucks, who have now cut 2 players this year so that they can bring back both Antetokounmpo to play with Giannis.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
People who filed it are actually representatives of Chicago, so they're from the city. They're kind of saying, this is really going to cripple the industry if we do this even more. I think it's really important when we talk about this stuff because so many places want to keep taxing sports betting more and more and more, which is well within their right. But there gets to a point where the bubble bursts and sports books either don't want to do business or they change the way they do it by passing it down to the customer.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
Jack McMullen, Aram Leighton, I teased before we went to break that I have 5 names that I want to throw at you that have changed the perception of them and elevated the perception of them. And they are entering this pantheon, whether it's of performers outright, October performers, or anything in between. And a lot of that had to do with what happened on Monday night in a 6-5 win for the Dodgers in 18 innings. I'll actually go 6, guys. I'm going to go 6. So number 1 is Shohei Ohtani, who reaches base 9 times and will pitch on Tuesday night, to your point. Number 2 is Yoshinobu Yamamoto getting up on 1-day rest, preparing to throw the 19th inning. He was going to throw the 19th inning after a complete game on Saturday. He doesn't throw on Sunday, and he's ready to throw the 19th on Monday. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. doing what he did on the base paths and doing what he did with his arm at first base, getting that runner at third. George Springer, what he has done over the course of this month of October is proving that he is one of the greatest October performers that we have ever been gifted in the game of baseball. Alejandro Kirk is becoming a postseason superhero, and he is becoming somehow less underrated. I still think he's underrated, but he's becoming properly rated. People are respecting and appreciating Alejandro Kirk's game for the first time that I feel like we've had universally. And then Freddie Freeman. If you hit 2 walk-off homers in the World Series in back-to-back years, all of a sudden your narrative is shifted. I just gave you 6 names. Where do you want to go here?
I want to start with Will Klein.
Yeah, Will Klein.
Just very quickly, I have a fun stat.
Yeah.
He went 4 innings yesterday, or today, I should say.
Yeah.
The last time Will Klein went 4 innings or more.
I saw it. Yeah.
Did someone post that?
I saw 2020 in college.
Yep. Damn, someone posted that.
Someone posted that. What was the line though?
It was against the Jacksonville State Gamecocks.
Sure.
6 2/3 innings, 8 hits, 4 runs, 3 earned, 3 walks, 9 Ks. And I think his fastball actually sat in the mid 80s in that one.
Where did he go to school?
Eastern Illinois.
Wow. He was a Panther. You know who else is a Panther at Eastern Illinois? Jimmy G and
Trey Sweeney. No.
Yes. Yeah. And
I don't got any more.
Current CBS analyst that was a very good quarterback.
I don't know.
Tony Romo went to Eastern Illinois as
well. Oh, I did know that one. Damn it. Okay.
Yep.
That's a good one.
You got this.
But Kirk, I think, because that's a guy that you look at and you're just not going to assume he's capable of doing the things that he's doing. The throw down to second base to get Ohtani, that transfer was insane. The way that he receives back there, he has to be one of the most unassuming athletes I've ever seen in terms of he can't run, but he is really, really, really athletic, and he is really powerful. And I think we're seeing that. He produces so much whip for a guy that doesn't have very long levers. The defense, I think you're just able to admire everything that he can do back there, and a guy that I've definitely underestimated over the years as well. I think with a guy like Freeman, it's just like, oh my gosh, he's just going to do this thing forever. But I think Kirk is the one that I really circle and say, I don't think people would fully realize how special of a player he is in almost every single facet of the game on a massive scale now until this World Series.
I gave you and our friends in our Just Baseball Discord, which is an amazing community, and you should be joining our Just Baseball Discord. The link, if you are listening via Apple Podcasts or Spotify or YouTube, is in our episode description. I told people in our Discord why I think Joe Davis is amazing, like why I think he's just the best we have right now. The other reason, and one of the points that I made in there, is because this guy is as prepped as anybody in this business. And Joe Davis in game 2 mentioned that Alejandro Kirk has been stopped by clubhouse security several times trying to get into a clubhouse on the road. And that furthers your point. This is the most unassuming guy ever. He does not look like a professional athlete. And there are clubhouse attendants at MLB ballparks that stop him thinking that he's trying to get into a clubhouse that he does not belong in. And he gives us this kind of World Series performance. He gives us this kind of postseason performance. So that is amazing. The one that jumped out to me and the one that I want to take us to next is the guy that didn't pitch in this one. The fact that Yamamoto had Will Ireton go up to Mark Pryor, the Dodger pitching coach, in like the 14th inning and say, I'm ready to go. That was as gutsy as anything that I've seen in a long, long time. And I already loved him. My love for Yamamoto grew exponentially when I saw him pick up a baseball on Monday night.
Well, and I thought he was going to. You knew he was going to come in and throw well. Like that guy
If
knows
this
his
game
body.
went 23 innings, he was giving you 4 shutty.
That's why I think Dave Roberts was just kind of pump faking and messing with Verducci, saying, "Yeah, we're going to go to a position player in the if it goes to the 18th." The fact that Yamamoto just volunteered, it's like the Bueller situation where just like that is so badass. But I think it's even more just shocking because it's not win or go home, and it wasn't win or go home for Bueller, but it's not like close out the World Series situation here. It's a 1-1 series.
Right.
You're going to still have to go throw at some other point in the series, presumably Yamamoto. So I thought that was absolutely incredible. And a guy that I figured if they put him in, he was going to throw the ball well. But I wanted to see him try to get hot in that situation. I was just curious what his whole process was there, but they were not going to have. They should have had like a Yamamoto cam.
Yeah, just an ISO cam. Does he bust out the javelin?
Right. Yeah, javelining into a wall, whatever it may be. I figured there had to be something unique to get up there for a guy that, mind you too, not only would it have been on like 1 or 2 days rest, he threw his last start on like 10 days rest because of the way that the playoffs kind of lined up for him. So it's not like he has been throwing, in shorter rest and like kind of synced up for that at all.
First guy since Kurt Schilling in 2001 with back-to-back complete games in the postseason, and he does it in the NLCS and the World Freaking Series, and he's ready to go on 1-day rest. He threw a complete game on Saturday. He sits idle on Sunday, and he's ready to pitch on Monday night, Tuesday morning. I guess that would line up for a side day for Yamamoto, but even then, man, I mean, that is just so gutsy of him to be willing to do this. And he already got paid. He's in year 2 of a $325 million deal. But you know what? This is what competitors do. And it speaks to the level of upkeep that this guy does for his body, that he feels okay enough after north of 110 pitches to get up and possibly pitch in the 19th inning. The other one is Freddie Freeman. Freddie is becoming this inner circle pantheon type player. And it's almost like he's getting better with age. He is the red wine of Major League Baseball because he's just figuring out hitting as an art form even more. And he's always been a hitting as an art form guy, and you can speak to that. But he was kind of the big burly kid when he first came up in Atlanta. And there has been a progression of Freddie Freeman, and now he's like that tall, skinny guy that looks a little awkward when he runs. He almost doesn't look like he's a great athlete anymore, but he is.
Looks like it hurts. Even when he jogs on homers, it looks like it hurts.
The hand-eye for Freddie Freeman at this point in his career has to be top 5 in Major League Baseball, no?
I mean, just the way that he can manipulate the barrel and cover different like spots of the plate and hug balls fair down the first base line that are, golfed that way or inside out one the other way. It's just remarkable. But you also wouldn't really recommend anybody to like try to mirror Freddie Freeman's swing just because it's so hard to swing that way. But the way he does it ends up achieving, the perfect path. It is incredible stuff. And that was part of the reason why I just didn't expect the game to go so long. I'm like, how many more times can you go back around to Freddie here and actually, and Ohtani and Mookie?
Especially when you're walking Ohtani every time. Like, how many times can you put a runner on for Freeman?
And it just did, for whatever reason, it worked out. But also, even Freddie's outs were loud. I mean, you had a couple really loud outs and a couple balls that just seemed like they died in the night there. Varsho, by the way, as well. It seemed like by the time they turned the camera around to cut to the outfield. Dalton Varsho's already camped under the baseball, no matter where you hit it. He is incredible. And a guy that came up as a catcher, it's just mind-blowing. But Freddie, I think it's the fact that his heartbeat it just clearly doesn't change, especially at this stage of his career. It just elevates him, I think, in the biggest spots because it's status quo for a Hall of Fame caliber player, no matter how just dramatic the stage is.
Freddie Freeman has quickly become an all-time great World Series performer and postseason performer in general. Want to hand out some more stars next on the Just Baseball Show.
This is a guy we should be adding. And if you add him this week, you loved life because he was coming off not just a great Sunday last week when we were ahead of that curve, but also a great Thursday night football as well. So last week, 7 for 9 for 164 and a touchdown. This week on Thursday, 5 for 5, 77 and a touchdown. He didn't even play the first 2 weeks of the year, and he's already a top 10 tight end in scoring, if you can believe it.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Travis Hunter, Joe, is a part-time wide receiver. As I've told people from the moment he was drafted, there's zero chance long-term that they'll continue to do this. In terms of playing offense and defense, they're going to have to pick a position with him. Brian Thomas, he was unbelievable. Talking to the Jaguars about him last season, he was so far ahead of schedule where they thought he'd be super smart. He had a wrist injury, by the way. We need to mention that, Joe, earlier this season.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
SMU is undefeated. You got Louisville that knocked off Miami. Yeah. Miami has one loss. There's multiple teams that potentially can make a run for an ACC championship. So their backs are still against the wall. Like Georgia Tech is not a shoo-in right now just because they're undefeated, because they still have to play Georgia at the end of the year as well. Even though it's out of conference, that can knock them out of the playoff.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
$17,848 have been bet on this question, Joe, at Kalshi. How many pro football games will Taylor Swift attend this season?
They average an average of 9.3 games during this season here, and a lot of that has to do with her reduced touring schedule and this maybe being his final NFL season.
Incredible stuff here.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
So Jack McMullen, Aram Leighton, we're continuing to chat about this amazing Game 3. We've got a lightning quick preview of Game 4 because there was too much to talk about in Game 3 after this. But I do want to throw some more flowers at what Toronto did in terms of their bullpen. Since that middle Sir Anthony Dominguez miss, you had Chris Bassett work a leverage inning. He looked great. You had Jeff Hoffman go 2 scoreless innings in the 9th and 10th. Braden Fisher handled 4 outs in the 11th and the 12th. And then Eric Lauer went 4 2/3 of 2-hit shutout baseball before Brendan Little got 3 outs leading up to the Freddie Freeman home run. You want to talk about the bullpens? This was a great performance from John Schneider's side. It was also a heck of a performance on the Dodgers side. Justin Robleski looked really good. Bonda got a big out when he needed it. Jack Dreyer got an out when he needed it. Sasaki, he worked around 2 walks. Sheehan looked great. Kershaw got an out when he needed it. Enriquez looked untouchable for his 2 innings, and Will Klein looked untouchable for his 4 innings. In terms of the unassuming bullpen pieces, and when you're tapping into the reserves, it couldn't have gone better for either side. Tapping into the reserves.
No, and that's why we went so long here. I mean, who would have thought Eric Lauer ended up almost giving you a quality start, right? He goes 4 2/3, scattered the 4 walks, but didn't allow a run. I mean, that part was also incredible. And even Braden Fisher, that was another surprise. You figured out that those combined 6 innings there, you figured somebody was going to push a run across for the Dodgers, and the fact that they didn't. And then even Little ended up getting you one more chance to hit. So you figured at that point, like, they got to do it there. And that's where it really hurt that, like, instead of Addison Barger and his 2 for 4 day and the way that he has scorched baseballs, you have Miles Straw just giving them away out there. I mean, he had some horrible swings down the stretch. Like, that's another one where how much value was the speed of Miles Straw as a pinch runner versus
not enough.
This game extending and you not having anybody, that you really want left to go hit. It felt like especially once you burned IKF or burned Bichette with IKF, which that part I get because of the knee, right? But like, it felt like at that point, with no Kirk, with no Barger, you were pretty much hoping Vladdy went yard. And then if he didn't, it was like, okay, well, at least we got Varsho up. And then if those two didn't really do anything, you didn't really have much to hope for. Like Clement's at bats weren't great, but I guess maybe you could throw Clement into that conversation. But like that was your only pocket where you felt like, okay, we've got a shot here, and it wasn't going to happen. So I think a big part of that is testament to the bullpen, like Roki Sasaki doing his thing again, even where like he wasn't as sharp as he normally is. I think it was only 13 strikes on 29 pitches, but the splitter was just so good that even when he wasn't in the zone, like he was getting outs where he didn't throw a single pitch in the zone in at bat.
Yeah.
What's interesting now is like you got to adjust this pecking order. I think if you're Dave Roberts, like the Dodgers are lucky that Blake Trinan didn't fully give it up, to the degree that they couldn't get back into this. You can't throw Trinan out there anymore. I mean, you have, maybe if a game goes like this again, you do it, but I mean, I would almost rather go, not almost, I would rather go to Enriquez at this point. I think I would rather go to some of these other guys. I think even with the way Robleski looked, I'd definitely rather go to Robleski at leverage. Like, I think you need to relegate Blake Trinan if you're Roberts as soon as today for this game 4. Like you have to. He's a liability.
Robleski is in that situation, unfortunately, because of the Alex Vesia news. And again, hoping for the best for Vesia and his wife. Such a scary situation, and it's far bigger than his presence in the World Series. But Robleski is in there because Vesia is not. And what you learned is you might have a guy that you can turn to in Robleski. Jack Dreyer hadn't thrown in a very, very long time. I have said over the course of this regular season, Dreyer is a guy that you can be turning to all the time. Like, it's weird, it's good, and it works. There are other guys. To your point, Enriquez is just better than Trinan at this juncture. And the fact that Enriquez was not getting leverage innings and Trinan was getting leverage opportunities, and Sheehan, who I know threw well on Monday night, but he had been struggling mightily over the course of his previous outings. Like, Enriquez should be bunny hopping Sheehan, and he should be bunny hopping Trinan. There certainly is kind of a reformatting of the bullpen that Dave Roberts can go to and probably should go to at this point. Obviously, you have your closer in Sasaki. I'm not saying like, oh, Kershaw should be throwing the 8th here. But, dude, like, there were plenty of guys here that we saw that it was like, okay, you know what? That wasn't a heart attack. Anthony Banda was not a heart attack, and he really hasn't been a heart attack. So I don't know. I just look at this Dodger bullpen usage, and I feel like I'm almost less terrified after an 18-inning game because at least you got a couple of answers.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that Enriquez can go do what he did, and I'm interested to see, if that bullpen can match it when you've got Bichette in there and Kirk for more innings and Barger, and I think they probably can. But I think it has to be encouraging to see what Enriquez did. Like, that's the guy that he has closer stuff, right? He has elite closer stuff. It's just been about command and, just the overall execution at points. And I mean, right now it looks like he's in rhythm, right? He's in sync. It was 30 pitches. It was 23 strikes. If he's anywhere in that range, he's going to be a guy that I think you got to trust at leverage.
I want to get back to your point about the pockets that kind of developed with the changes, because it felt like John Schneider was waiting for his lineup to cycle back to the top. And all of a sudden, Springer's out, so Ty France gets 3 at-bats. It just felt like you were hunting Vladdy at-bats once this game got to the 10th, once this game got to the 13th after they left Kirk in the 12th. I will say it kind of felt like we were waiting to cycle back to Shohei, Mookie, Freddie for Dave Roberts too, which was not a conversation that we were having before this, where like all of a sudden you're looking at Andy Pages and he has become unplayable at this point. It is so hard to watch what's happening to Pages. And obviously call hit for him, but 0 for 5 with 4 Ks. Tommy Edman was 1 for 8. Max Muncy was 0 for 7. Mookie was 1 for 8. There were guys that just did not show up offensively for the Dodgers. So you were hunting 2-3 guys in that lineup getting an at-bat in the right moment. Same with John Schneider. You just hope that doesn't happen in games 4 through 7, however many we get.
Yeah, I will say, because I think one little pushback I'll put is and I know late in the game, it ended up still feeling that way a little bit because the at-bats weren't as good. But Teoscar Hernandez, I talked about it on the last episode where I was like, those at-bats look horrible. Like, what Teoscar are we getting? Great Teoscar here. He had 4 hits. And at least when it got to him, you're like, okay, well, maybe he goes deep here again. So at least that was where I felt like he stretched it out a bit. But I agree. It did feel like you were hunting that top of the lineup where you knew Shohei was getting the bat taken out of his hands anyways.
They rode the roller coaster with Teoscar Hernandez. It paid off against 6-5 Dodger win in 18. Lightning quick preview of game 4 next.
If you watch a Mavericks game, every single play he's arguing it with the referees. I mean, if I was
like
the
this,
ref,
his hands are up. It's like, dude, everyone else is halfway up the floor right now. You're still back here arguing.
Yeah. I mean, I would tee him up. There is no doubt in my mind, Gabe, the NBA's got to go to these refs and say, listen, you know what? Swallow the whistle with him.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
I am willing to bet on Wemby is a triple-double ladder season-long market. I did this actually with Caitlin Clark, who had a triple-double in Game 1 and then spent the rest of the season injured. I hope that does not happen with Victor Wembanyama. 3 triple-doubles at plus 165 should be absolutely no problem for Wemby. Had 2 his rookie season, 1 last year prior to the injury.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
It is exactly why, like you said, Donnie, this time of year is the absolute best in sports. And first off, the NBA returned to NBC. And hearing that theme music, seeing Mike Tirico back on the call, seeing Michael Jordan on the screen, it just felt right? Like an old friend that you haven't seen in decades that walks back into your life.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
People who filed it are actually representatives of Chicago, so they're from the city. They're kind of saying, this is really going to cripple the industry if we do this even more. I think it's really important when we talk about this stuff because so many places want to keep taxing sports betting more and more and more, which is well within their right. But there gets to a point where the bubble bursts and sports books either don't want to do business or they change the way they do it by passing it down to the customer.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Up wherever you get your podcasts and on SportsGrid. Let's talk about game 4. Believe it or not, it's tonight. And it's Shane Bieber and Shohei Ohtani. One of them started throwing with a hoodie on in the Blue Jay bullpen. The other was stretching out his quad at second base after he was walked for the 15th time on Monday night. This is going to be that hangover game, and whoever wins the hangover game, I feel really good about just taking the whole shebang, to be honest with you. I know the Jays are down 2-1, but it really does feel like this could be the kill shot for the Dodgers. Like this could be the dagger type game for LA tonight.
Well, and it's set up really well for them, right? Where, okay, if you're going to have this marathon game, the Dodgers get to go home and the Blue Jays go to a hotel. The Dodgers win. The Blue Jays don't. The Dodgers have their team as constructed. The Blue Jays lose the guy that's been kind of mythical for them in George Springer, who, I mean, regardless of what the prognosis is, I think it'd be very surprising that whether he plays in this game. I mean, he was immediate exit. Just all of those things, like to lose that game, to not be at home, to lose your second best hitter. I think with the way he's performing, I know Kirk's been incredible, but I think Springer's that guy that just struck fear and just had been, an equalizer in a lot of ways to the top of the lineup that you were seeing with the Dodgers as well. When you combine all of the guys, with Kirk as well, and then Vladdy at the top with the Blue Jays. And also the hatred for Springer, that's a whole nother thing. I'll probably talk about another episode. And I know it's not everybody, but my goodness, just have a little bit of class, man. He's a human being. I understand that Dodgers fans hate former Astros players, whatever. Grow up.
How about Joe Davis acknowledging that is horrible that they were cheering Springer leaving with injury? Like that is, don't forget it. And he does an amazing job of calling it neutral, but don't forget that is the TV voice of the LA Dodgers.
And he knew he was
calling out Dodger fans.
And he knew he was probably ruffling some feathers in doing so, but he was doing it in the name of just morality. And we'll still get comments that are like, oh no, like F them, whatever. Bro, it's a game. Like there's so many, I think, less ethical players that you will have cheered on in your lifetime than what George Springer in the Astros, and players that you will not cheer against or cheer.
Should we start naming them?
Whole other thing. Like, yeah, I was saying they love Puig out there, right? Like, it's just that part was a little bit disappointing to me for fans that are some of the best in baseball, but I just feel like that the momentum is the word. It's like do you even apply it? Whatever. This one, I think you do, because again, one's at home and one's not, and one won the game, one didn't, and the turnaround immediately as well, and then just the gap on the mound. Like, you just were terrorized by Ohtani, the hitter, and a heartbreaking loss, and now you're going to be terrorized by Ohtani, the pitcher, who, by the way, last time out went 6 innings, 2 hits, no runs, 3 walks, 10 Ks, and looks like one of the best pitchers in Major League Baseball right now.
And he's on what, 10 days rest, 11 days rest?
Yep. His last 5 outings dating back to the end of the regular season, 26 2/3 innings, 3 earned runs. That's a 1.01 ERA, 38% strikeout rate in that span, and a 6% walk rate. After a frustrating game where I didn't score for 12 innings, whatever it was, the last thing I want right now is to have to go see Shohei.
What do you need from Bieber today?
He's got to give you some length. He's got to find a way to get at least to the 5th. It's just been such a short leash for him. He's got to find a way to get a little bit deeper in this ball game. And hey, like and I know it's a different context, but if you got 4 2/3 from Lauer, like, Bieber's got to give you 5+ here. And I know it's a little bit of a tall task against this lineup, but he has to do it. He has to give this bullpen a little bit of a breather.
I'm asking for 6, to be honest. I'm asking for 6 from Bieber, and I'm asking for surgical command of the slider. And I want the knuckle curve to be good as well. He's going to have to spin his way out of this. The Dodgers will be ready to hit fastballs. Can Shane Bieber survive with the slider and the knuckle curve? I hope so. We have seen him win a Cy Young with those pitches, and we have seen him look like he's experiencing a career renaissance with those pitches. So give me Shane Bieber to try and slice and dice with spin. Ohtani could just be overpowering. I do wonder, like, the most fascinating subplot to me in Game 4 is Ohtani's calf. He was clearly stretching that out at a certain point in extra innings. So I just wonder what Ohtani is going to feel like today. We've got about 50 seconds here before we wrap. Give me a score prediction and, like, brief reason why.
I think I'm going to go 5-2 Dodgers. Ohtani is just the big reason why. I think he throws the ball really well, assuming he's feeling fine. I'm sure he's superhuman. And really just kind of keeps the pressure on this Blue Jays lineup. And then, I think the Blue Jays scrape a couple late in the ball game. But if the Blue Jays have any chance here, they have to get Ohtani out of that game, remotely early, like we talked about with Glasnow. And so it worked in their favor there. They did get a big swing against him, but they're going to need to find a way.
I go 7-4 Dodgers. They take a 3-1 series advantage. Every link you need is in the episode description. Thank you so much for joining us. For Aram, I'm Jack. Talk to you soon on the Just Baseball Show.
They got to go win and execute, and they can't be inconsistent. And that's the thing. It's like Ohio State, Indiana, Oregon, really consistent. And then who is that 4th question mark? And there's been inconsistencies throughout. Hey, Michigan goes out to the West Coast and gets manhandled, and then they come back and then they win. Like, who's the consistent one that is the 4th?
The Bobby Carpenter Show, only on SportsGrid.
We're going to have bet tracking for the first time. If you have a FanDuel account, you'll be able to track your bet on the Prime Video games. And tonight, if you are part of the ESPN Mega Content Service, we understand from an organization called Antenna that 2 million people at least have the ESPN Mega Content or Unlimited service. You will be able to track your bets also on tonight's NBA coverage. So this is the beginning of a major new era for basketball on television.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Like Marchand said, they're all a bunch of dirtballs, so I fit in with them. You know what I mean? Remember, like, the Phillies baseball team, like with Kroc and Dykstra and all those guys? Like, yeah, they're just a bunch of dirtballs, right? And that's what the Panthers are. They're all the same. Like, they're all like to drink. They're all tough. They're all dirty in the corner. You know what I mean? They'll all do whatever it takes to win, but that's why they've won 2 cups in a row.
In-game live only on SportsGrid.
For him and Cignetti are the most Spurrier-like personalities, Spurrier-like head coaches, and Cignetti's locked up. And you know what? And Ole Miss could very well lock Lane Kiffin up, but he will always be a fighting under. At Ole Miss, you will always be a little bit of an underdog because who you're playing. At Florida, you don't ever have to be an underdog because of their resources.
The Bowden Blitz only on